So first of all, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join me today to learn a little bit about Big Picture and what it does and how it can help you with either maybe you're an entrepreneur or maybe you're involved as a supplementary income with a multi-level marketing company, or maybe that isn't just supplementary. Maybe the multi-level marketing or network marketing, they also call it, maybe you do that full time. So what today is to show you how to use this new product, Big Picture, in that field. So in the field of entrepreneurship and multi-level marketing. So what is Big Picture? Well, you can see we are Big Picture is part of what's called our Decision Tool Suite, and I left our Palisade.com website up just to show you that although Big Picture is new, we have been around since 1984, and it's crazy to think that there might actually be people listening to this webinar or this recording that weren't even born yet, which says something about the quality of the company that I'm lucky to work with. So Big Picture is a mind mapping, diagramming, and data exploration add-in for Microsoft Excel. Like all of our other products that are in our Decision Tools suite, it is an add-in for Microsoft Excel. So we're going to explore that add-in today. And I'm going to go ahead and get Big Picture started. And the way we open up Big Picture is we open up Excel, right? And then from the Start menu, which unfortunately you can't see because I'm using two screens, so it's on my other one. From the Start menu, you can also select Big Picture. Another way that you can launch launch at risk, or any of our products like Big Picture, like the one that I'm actually launching now, is by simply double-clicking on the shortcut that's on your desktop that gets provided when you do an install. When you double-click on the desktop icon, it will launch whichever Excel is the default that you have it set up to launch. If you have multiple versions of Excel like I do, and I'll actually be demonstrating in two different versions of Excel today to kind of appeal to both 2013 and 2010 users. So right now we're in 2013, and I just launched 2013, and then I double clicked on the Big Picture icon, and you'll see that Big Picture will appear in the ribbon up top. So like I said, it's an add-in for Excel, so you're going to still see the familiar ribbon, but in addition you're also going to see Big Picture's ribbon, which is that's one of the beauties of Big Picture, is that the comfortability factor is there. So the learning curve is dramatically reduced by being able to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a sample file here, and so I mentioned Big Picture is a mind mapping, diagramming, data exploration add-in for Excel. And basically what we do as humans is we're very visual. Humans are visual animals. So we tend to understand ideas and understand data better when it's presented in some form of a graphic. So we're visual. Like I said, humans are visual animals. Not only do we understand ideas better and also understand data better, we also tend to grasp relationships better. And in addition to that, we tend to retain information better. So just by putting up this little, if I can spell right, just by putting up this little diagram in front of you here, you may actually remember that I mentioned something about understand ideas because we put that little light bulb, or maybe you'll remember that I mentioned something about data because we showed a little snippet of a spreadsheet. Or maybe you'll remember that I mentioned that humans are visual animals because I showed you a pair of glasses. We're visual, so that's where Big Picture comes into play. And how can we use this in the entrepreneurial, multi-level marketing genres, shall I say? Well, first of all, when you are building new ideas, that brainstorming process is so critical because it's important to get things out of your mind and down on quote-unquote paper or down in a map so that we can kind of play with things and organize them. So I'm going to show you a couple different examples today. The first one I'm going to show you is actually a way that you can use mind maps for building ideas or maybe organizing those ideas or presenting those projects. But the first one I'm going to show you is how to use a mind map or a diagram when dealing with communication amongst team members or coming up to a decision amongst team members. So we're going to go ahead and open up Six Hats. So if you haven't already heard of Six Hats of Decision Making, I would highly recommend you take a look at Six Thinking Hats, an essential approach to business management. Yes, it was like written back in 1985, published back in 1985 by an Edward de Bono. But basically the concept can be applied across all different areas, including this concept of team building or strategizing, and this can be not only in entrepreneurial, but it can also be in that, like I said, team building or maybe conflict resolution. You know, maybe you have two people on your team that are kind of butting heads and you kind of want to just clear the air amongst them. This is a tool that can be used. So when you look at this, you see a central topic and then other topics branched out from it. And those other topics are a white hat, a red hat, a black hat, a yellow hat, a green hat, and a blue hat. And those topics, I don't need to write out white hat. I don't need to write out red hat. That's where that humans are visual concept comes into play. So what is this map about? And I'm showing you this map not only because it's a cool concept, but also to show you the features of BigPicture and how it can be used. So when you work with Six Hats, what you do is everyone comes to the table. So maybe it's two people having a conflict resolution or what have you, and they come to the table with you. At that moment, everybody puts on their white hat, figuratively. I guess in some businesses they actually will bring in the hats, the different colored hats, but everybody puts on their white hat. And during that white hat segment of time, the only thing that they're allowed to state, and each person, you go around the table, each person states just the information, the facts, the neutral ideas, or the data. Okay, so just the basics, like what is the task at hand? So what are we looking to achieve? Are we looking to achieve building blocks for our company and doing $2,500 in sales for that month? Maybe that's what our goal is. So that's what we're looking to do. So this is the problem at hand. How are we going to handle that? Then everybody takes off their white hat and everybody puts on their red hat. And when they put on their red hat, all of a sudden everybody mentions how they feel, their gut instinct. How do they feel? Do they think they can attain that type of goal? Is it too far out? You know, are they nervous about it? Are they excited about it? So now all of a sudden they're getting their feelings out. And it seems funny to say the word feelings when dealing with business, but more and more that's what people relate with is feelings, relationships. And if there's any industry that is proven to thrive on relationships and the feelings of others in a situation, is by far multi-level marketing and network marketing, because that's what it is all about. So then everyone takes off their red hat, everybody puts on their black hats, they focus on all the negatives, the stumbling blocks. How are we going to handle this? Oh, well, you know, we live in Germany and we have a 2-week holiday this week, so that's going to cause issues with trying to get people to listen to our business offerings. You know, how are we going to handle that? Then everybody can go ahead and put on their yellow hat and go, but what about all the positive things? What are the sunshiny things? Well, maybe the positive things is that everybody's on vacation. Maybe they're more willing to listen to it. Maybe they don't have to worry so much about work, so they'll listen to another opportunity. And maybe that's where it comes in. Then they can go ahead and all put on their green hats and get creative and throw out their ideas of how they're going to handle this situation. You know, maybe they do some promotional stuff. You know, maybe they offer during those 2 weeks during vacation some big promotional thing, and they get creative with it. So kind of thinking outside of the box. So you can see where this is all going. It's being able to put out ideas in front of everybody and to come together as a team, where then what you can do is while people are giving the facts, you can draw a line out and type in a fact. You know, goal is 2,500. You could actually fill in this entire diagram with all different things. Now you might have noticed that in order for me to draw this rectangle, all I did was when I moused over a shape, there were these little red squares. Those red squares in BigPicture are called connection points. And the shapes themselves, the white rectangles, red rectangles, black, yellow, green, blue rectangles, those are all called topics. And another thing that's also called a topic are actually these hats themselves, because they are just topics that are filled in with a picture, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So in order to create new topics, all you have to do is mouse over a topic, click on that red connection point, and drag out. When you click and drag out, when you release the mouse, it will automatically create that topic. So as a functionality tool, this is super helpful in being able to brainstorm, get your ideas down. Then imagine everybody leaves the meeting, you print off this map. Now they have this kind of the starting of a strategic plan. It's basically getting all those ideas down. Then they can go, or you could go, and take all of the info and create a strategic plan out of it, which is also part of what people typically do when they're an entrepreneur or in multi-level marketing. So I'm going to show you how to create this sort of map. So I do want to just throw out there that we are going to cover stuff that has data and some other mapping. The first part of this webinar today is going to be more of how to do a basic, what we call free-form mapping, and then we'll get into those auto-generated maps. So if this isn't quite up your up your alley, quite your cup of tea, hang in there and check out when we get to the organizational charts and data maps. So that I can close up for you. So say we had a new workbook. So file, new workbook. I mentioned at the beginning here that diagramming and mapping can be used for mapping out new ideas, organizing ideas, maybe communication among team members, and I also said putting ideas into context. Well, something else when you're working with multi-level marketing, and I'm just going to show you this relatively quickly. If I want to add a new topic, I can just click on New Topic, and it'll create a new topic. Now, if I decide I want to draw out from there, I can draw out from there. And if you notice, as I'm drawing out, it's automatically creating that symmetry. Okay, so I draw down and then out, and you notice how it's automatically adjusting my diagram, making it look really neat. Now, for anyone that's in multi-level marketing, you might also be looking at this going, yep, that's the power of twos, right? If you have two people under you, we could have done this with power of fours. A steady table is nice and stable, I think, is one of the taglines, so that at each level maybe you have 4 different things. But you could see how this could be used to communicate to others, where you explain to someone, this is you. You are the owner of your business. This is you at the top. Then the next level is maybe you're at the platinum level, and these two are at bronze level, and then these are silver, or what have you. Or maybe you have different names of different ideas or anything. Or maybe you can also use this to demonstrate how in multi-level marketing, how you can negate that common theme of, oh, it's a pyramid scheme. Because the reality is, sometimes people break away and end up at the same level, right? So how could we demonstrate that? Well, we could click on this here, select all these up, and just bring it up here. So now just remove them here. You can remove this here and bring these up once I select them all. and show how maybe these two are at the same level. So instead of having a one-way thing, and actually, you know what I'm going to do here? I apologize. I forgot to take off. I wanted to show you the auto arrange and then forgot to take off the auto arrange. But, excuse me, I'm going to erase that one, and I'm going to put this guy. And if I hold my mouse button down long enough, it will select all of them. So I'm going to put that there. Reconnect here. Wow, I'm making a mess of mine today. Let's go here. There we go. Started with one simple thing, right? And look at the craziness I created. But also look how easy it is for me to just kind of clean it up and go, okay, these are the two original teams. Now you see I had auto arrange on here, so when I collapse out, it'll automatically reset itself to whatever it thinks is the best layout. Now personally, obviously, when I look at this, that's not the best layout for me. So again, I'll click all my A2s and I will move them to the side. Now if I take off auto arrange, that's when everything tends to behave a lot better once I have my set thing in place. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have this one break away from the other, just by deleting it. And so if you're in multi-level marketing, you can show how this person can take their whole team and end up at the same level as this person. So now you can show visually, and I'm going to just change the arrows on this by going to Format Shape and say I don't want an end arrow. So these two are now at the same level, and now this person has one at that same level. So everything moves up. So now it kind of, you can actually show, I wasn't very graceful with that and I apologize, I totally forgot to take off auto arrange, but you can gracefully show how all of a sudden it's not this pyramid scheme, and that it doesn't even resemble that shape. Over time it actually takes on this rectangular effect, because the reality is this person at some point is going to want to move on up here as well, and then they're going to be at that same level as well. So now all of a sudden you can start to see how everyone's trying to move up at the same, in the same company. So let me go ahead and select all of these, and you might notice that I'm using this select tool here. This select tool is part of BigPicture, so that you're able to, navigate through your chart by just selecting all, or selecting topics and children, what have you, to be able to select things and move them around more easily. So what I'm going to show you now is, you saw the way we could just draw out maps, but when we're choosing, or when someone decides to get into network marketing, they may have to choose, they want to take a look and see what network marketing company is good for them. So the key is to be successful in network marketing or multi-level marketing, is to have belief in not only the products, but also the company that you're representing, the industry. So belief in network marketing, the actual business plan of network marketing, and it as a career, and also belief in oneself, to know that you have that confidence to lead, to coach, and also to consistently improve yourself over time. So I'm going to select these, and you see it just kind of, I just put a few, a couple ideas out here, and you saw that I tabbed over into a different cell. So you could actually do this with an entire outline worth of information here, which maybe I'll show you at least one of the levels here. So maybe under product, we think about, is it consumable? Is it of higher quality than others in that category? And are there testimonies out there that you can take a look at? So if I select these and I say copy, I'm going to do Control C for copy, And then I go to my outline tab here by clicking this outline option in the ribbon. If I click in where it says new topic and then use this download or import button, it'll import that data that I just copied and it'll create the map for us. So here we have our map, and of course I took off auto arrange before, so we have our map. So it automatically drew out all of those for us. Okay, now I can click auto arrange on here and it says use automatic layout for the topics in the active map. Yes, it will actually clean it up for me. So that's what that auto arrange really does help with. Now maybe I want to add some information about how important it is to have belief in the company and what are the things that we're looking for that would help us to achieve and have that belief in our company. How about longevity? How about the training? Is there quality training? Is there, what form of communication? Are they, do they communicate well? Do you like your sponsor? And all I am doing is typing and hitting enter, and you can see it's automatically creating this map here on the right. Now, do you like your sponsor is an important one. Do you have to keep inventory? Is that something you're going to want to, is that something that company makes you do? So these are different things like that the company is responsible for, but you want to check into it and see what their business plan is. Compensation plan is huge. Is it a simple compensation plan? So if I go here and I say for the compensation plan, is it simple? And what sort of recognition do they give? So you can see how easy it is to all of a sudden create this map of ideas that we have. Now, I'm going to close up the outline here just for a second and close out the format shape just to kind of give us a look here. I'm going to show you, I can select all the topics, move this over to the middle, and then maybe what I want to do is instead of having it all go left to right, maybe I want to have it go in the center with belief. So maybe we change the shape of our belief to be a circle, and I can just click on it, go to change shape, and create a different shape. And if you notice, I'm using Excel's features right now. So let's copper plate. Use copper plate, and let's go say 16. So I can actually edit these topics by using the tools of Excel, which is great. So now say I want to take this industry one and I want to move it to the left. I can actually go here and move it here to the left, and maybe I want to move this one. If you notice, when I mouse around near where I want to connect, that connection point will light up. So there's belief in oneself, belief in the industry, product and company. Now I could go back to having my outline open and then say, okay, in the oneself category, what are some of the things that we want to put as far as ways that we can have more belief in ourselves to be better at our business? Well, we could set goals, so goal setting. Reading self-improvement. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people. And then how about visualize and dreaming? Visualize will do, I think a lot of times vision boards are really big in this particular industry. So we have that. Then how about in the industry itself? What are different ways? Well, if you haven't heard of Eric Worre, Network Marketing Pro, that's a great place to start. Another, maybe reading the 4-Year Career book. or listening to the audio of it. And how about understanding why people join? And maybe those whys, I'm going to go ahead and say underneath those whys. So if I want to expand out from the understanding the why, all I do is I click on it here in the map, in the outline, and then I can say, own boss, low startup, tax write-offs, time freedom. So you can see how you can create a map that has crazy amounts of information in it, but when you look at it, you see all this blue, and it's just drab, and maybe you don't like it like that. Maybe you want to add a little spunk to it. How can we add some spunk to it? Well, one way is we can actually fill in our topics with different images. So, maybe we put in a $ for low startup. So if I right click here, actually let me pull it over here a little bit just so you can see it when I right click. If I right click here, I can say add picture, and when I add picture, it'll put this little placeholder there. Now I can go in here and say change picture, and if I'm working in 2013 or 2016, Excel will give us this insert pictures dialog where you can actually do a Bing image search, or maybe you could find something on your computer itself by doing the browse file. But for right now, we'll go here and say, let's say $. And we can just put in a picture there. Or maybe that doesn't look, that looks still kind of drab. We're like, I'm not too crazy about that. How about for company, maybe we actually fill that entire topic with an image. So let's do, for company, say buildings, so now we have a company one. Now, we don't have to leave this word company in there if we don't want to, or maybe we just want to right justify it and put it off to the right, and maybe want to change the font size of it. I can do that, and I can change, once I put my num lock on, we can say company there. You could change the font on it. You can texturize. You can do whatever you'd like with it to make that look nice. We could do the same with the products here. We could say fill picture, and let's say, let's see if anything comes up for that. Let's go this one. So maybe we change the color of that lettering to be this, and we change it to be 16. So you can actually, that doesn't pop at all. Let's go ahead and do red and bold. So things that we might want to have faith in and have our desire in is going to be product and the company. So now we can change the locations of this, and if we want to change even how far over and up this is, you can actually use this picture tools tab and do your picture layout stuff here, or right mouse click on here and do format picture here, and you can actually choose whether or not, it's not that one, whether or not you want to have any kind of offset this way. So maybe you go this way, or you can actually crop different things, so you can actually adjust things accordingly there. So you can all of a sudden start adding pictures here, and let's go here for, we'll add one more picture just so that you can see, and we can say here, it's a perfect picture for the industry, right? And we can go here. So, that's the whole concept of attraction, laws of attraction and everything, and how you want to attract people instead of hunt people. You want to go fishing instead. So you could actually do up an entire thing, and then this becomes one of your training tools for your team so that they know, oh, these are the different things I need to do in order to plug in. So maybe I'm going to give a plug for Eric Worre here, but maybe here we actually can right mouse click, add a marker, and in that marker we're going to go ahead and do I'm sorry, not add a markup, add a hyperlink. I'm going to go here and do note hyperlink. And we're going to say, okay, so I just added a link. Now, if I click on this link, it's actually going to take me to that page. So now all of a sudden, maybe you have different PDFs, maybe you have your business plan already built into this, so then, let me go ahead and cancel that. So, maybe for products, you actually link here and you say, oh, testimonials can be found here. And you can attach either a web address, or you could attach an Excel file that maybe has links to all different ones, or maybe you attach a link to a PDF or what have you that's on a server somewhere. Now, the question is always going to be, are people able to, I'm going to go ahead and erase this here, are people able to view this if they don't have Excel? And the answer to that is yes. The only thing is that you have to be mindful of the fact that you'll need to expand everything out. So just envision for a moment now, we might want to change some colors on this. We might want to change where the location of these arrows touch. We can do that. So we can actually add different techniques to make this look sharper, nicer. So if I just select these three, and maybe because we have that other one here, we could do red. Maybe we don't want necessarily to have that black font anymore. We can go home. Oops, not that one. Do white, and do bold, and do center. And definitely need to increase the font on that. So you can actually start to create different looks and feels amongst your thing. You can actually even group things together. So if I want to group these three items together, I can actually right mouse click and say attach a shape and do a boundary shape. And now all of a sudden in that boundary shape you could type in that has You could type in different notes if you want. You can add shapes. So there's all different ways that you can customize it. And I could seriously spend an entire hour just doing that. But I wanted to at least show you that you can create different items, different topics from typing. You can create them from actually editing them in the outline. You can import an outline. And the last way I want to show you is how you can actually have, say you have an Excel web page, an Excel sheet, and instead of having where we had own boss, tax write-off, and time freedom, what I can do is I can delete these. I'll show you how to add it. Say I had these in a list. So we have own boss, tax write-off, and we have low cost time freedom. So I can actually go here and say I want to add children, and it's going to say, okay, where are the cells as the labels? And we click OK. And it will automatically add those 3 on there as children of that parent topic. Then if I say, I say entrepreneur, if I change it here in that cell, it will automatically update here. So it's important to know that you could actually have all these things linked somewhere else and just update them here and there. What about if you map out your entire team manually? You could do that. You could add pictures of them. You could add some of their strengths, some of their weaknesses. You could add some achievements. You could add markers onto each one saying, what a great one. So I mentioned the word markers. Markers are just little icons that go to the bottom right of your topic. So maybe even for these you want to number in priority what's important to you. Maybe that's not super important to you. Testimonials, maybe you think because you're going to be a product of the product that you don't have to worry about those. So that's the ranking, 1, 2, 3. That's the order that you are concerned about it. So there's all different ways that you can customize it. But let's get to some data because that's always fun. So I'm going to close this up. And let's go ahead. So with BigPicture, there are a few example files that are included, and the one that I'm going to walk through right now is included. It isn't necessarily network marketing, but I think it's a good one to show that you could actually apply some of your sales data in this way. So if we go to data maps and go sales by country, so when you download the trial, you will have access to this particular example file. So if we go in here, this is data, and it shows country, region, category. So there's 2 categories. There's hair care and oral care. A few different products: gel for men, gel for women, whitening toothpaste, mouthwash, what have you. The years that they were sold, the units that were sold, the unit cost of how much it cost to produce it, and then the selling price. But note that when we look at the selling price, what is different there? Well, it's in all different currencies. So in order for us to compare apples to apples in a data map, we want to make sure we convert those currencies. So we created a little conversion rate here. So this is, this amount times this will give us the net profit. So the profit here. So profit is calculated, you can see here, by column H, whatever's in column H, times column 9 minus the unit cost times the number sold. So just basically given the conversion rate, subtracting off the cost, and multiplying that times in order to get the profit. So I have all this data. So when you look at this, can you tell quickly what the top sellers are? What region is leading? What area of your business is really hot? What area of your business is really cold? It's a little more difficult to be able to see the depths as far as profit is concerned, because maybe the profit margin on gel for men is not quite as big as the one for toothpaste or what have you. So we want to take a look at our business as a whole, but we also want to be able to group things out. And that's where BigPicture comes in. So when you look at the ribbon, we kind of touched on a few things. We did the outline view, we did some connectors, we did auto arrange. The single expand I didn't do, but I will show you in an auto generated map. And now we're in this auto generated map. So if I go here to data map, and it basically is just like in Excel, we'll select a range that we want to import. So we're going to import this range, and we're going to ask for it to break up the data in 3 different categories: year, region, category. So that category, I shouldn't have used the word categories there, huh? In 3 different group topics. So that category is going to be that hair care or oral care. The region is going to be this Latin America, Asia, Europe, and the year is self-explanatory there. Now when you get into let me delete these off here. When you first come in and you have your own data, you're going to open up this dialog, and when you see this dialog, it's going to be blank, right? You're not going to have the range, but that's easy. You just click on this box and then select the range. BigPicture will guess at what that range is, but you're going to see these blank lines here. All you have to do is click on here and then do I think we did region first, and then we did category, and then year. And then for the end topics, we can go ahead and click on this tab here. We have the end topics, and in the end topics, we're going to do we want to show the country, we want to show the product, we want to show the number of units sold, and we want that information. This little check mark is going to roll up that calculation, and you'll see what that is in just a second. Then we also want the profits to be displayed in dollar signs based on, so we want this column worth of data to be rolled up so that we can kind of compare easily amongst the two. The pictures I'll get into in just a bit. First I'm going to show this map. So if I go ahead and say create map, and I can see here are our regions, and then when I expand this out, we have Asia, and in Asia we have hair care and oral care. And then when I expand this out, we can then break down 2011, 2012. Look how close the profits were. The number of units sold was more in 2012, but we didn't make that much more in profits, so it must have been higher costs that year. So now we're able to kind of compare some numbers side by side without having to comb through this. So if I go back here and I expand this out, I can see, I'm going to say display multiple tables here, and I'm going to open up 2 tables at the same time. So this is 2011 versus 2012, and we can see Australia, China, and Japan. And you can just see, okay, China has always been the leader, and if we want to sort these, we can actually double click on that column header and it will sort them. So you can see it sorts, and China's the lead there. Now say that shows country. What if I want to see product? These are the 4 products that we have. What is the top seller out of those products as far as number of units? So if I go here and double click this way, number of units, Mouthwash Pro, and it's different from 2011. They flip-flopped, or maybe we want to check and see what brought in the most profit, and the most profit was brought in the same order for those 2 years. And we can also go here and look at the same time, maybe Latin America, same things. Oops, let's not do, I just did hair care. We'll close those out. Let's do the oral care. And again, we can double click and say total profit, and it'll sort each table for you so that you can see where it is. Now, the last one is going to be detail. And detail is actually going to give you the country, the product, and everything, but it's going to give all situations of it. So any situation where China had whitening toothpaste, and the profit, which came out of here, will be added to here. So you're going to be able to see that. Now, one fun little thing that we can do too is utilize conditional formatting of Excel. So if I select this data and go to the Home tab and choose conditional formatting and do just a scale there, and I'm going to delete this guy and create a nice brand new one for you. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to enter them in the fields provided, the questions field there. So I'm going to go back to that end table. Wants to open up for me here. Let's see. Okay. Just relaunch that here. And we'll open that back up so that we can take a peek at that. Some days my computer is less than friendly to me, so I appreciate your patience here. But we're going to go through and you're going to be able to see the whole process all over again, nice and easy. So we'll go here, select this, go to the home, conditional formatting, color schemes, boom, and then go big picture, say data map, create map. And then expand these little guys out. There we go. And now when I go to detail, you're going to be able to see that range, that coloring range. So at quick glance, without even having to sort, you're going to be able to see what's hot and what's not. Now if I want to see more, I can go here. So this is hair care, and we can see where amongst all the different ones, who has a hot situation versus the others. So now I can just quickly glance through. If I want to double click on the profit, it'll sort them for me, and just by quickly looking, you can actually look at all four of the end tables and see hair care in Latin America is not the hot item. So is it a marketing thing? Do we need to increase our marketing? Do we need different consultants there? Is it this an entrepreneurial thing? When we look at hair care in North America, it's spread out pretty differently. We have, hot spots here, and then we can look over and go, oh, it's in the West. It's really, hair care is a hot thing in the West, but the East is kind of middle. So you can kind of just take a look at quick glance and see where things range without much effort. So that's where the data mapping comes into play. The last thing I'm going to show you is how organizational charts come into play. And that is something that every single month when you're in multi-level marketing and network marketing, every single month your team changes. It dynamically changes based on who's coming into the business, who's leaving the business, who's hot, who's not. So we're going to take a quick peek at that. So we'll close this one out. Don't save. And go here. Actually, I have one. There we go. So here is an easy little, this is just some data that I kind of just put together to kind of give you an idea of how this could all work together. So, maybe you have some maintenance levels or pay levels, maybe that's what they're called in your company. The consultant's ID, I'll explain the status column in a little bit, but we can ignore that for now. We have some central points, some success line points, number of new consultants, email address, some basic information. And then we have who that person's sponsor is and their district manager and area manager. So when I first look at this, I know I'm going to be doing an organizational chart, but the important thing to realize with an organizational chart is that's in this auto-generate column here, section. So we're going to do an org chart. If you notice, there's a data map with a line in between data map and linked cell, and there's no line in between linked cell and org chart. And basically, it's because an org chart is a form of linked map. And what do I mean by a linked map? Basically, what I mean is that two columns of data have to talk to each other. Okay, so if I have a name here and I say that the sponsor's name is in here, then this sponsor's name needs to also be in this column D. So now if I look here, so we have, you know, Julia Plain. Her sponsor's name is Victoria Fleischman. Victoria Fleischman's sponsor is Amanda Nelson, which means that there needs to be an Amanda Nelson in column D. So that's where Amanda Nelson is. So those are going to be the two columns that are talking to each other, because we have to somehow tell Big Picture how we want this organizational chart organized. So I'm going to open up the dialog. Similar to the data map, we select Arrange, and we're going to say we're going to use full name as the employee title and sponsor as the supervisor title. Now, even though it's not necessarily, a supervisor when you're working with multi-level marketing, it does conjure up that feeling of, mentorship, essentially. So the columns that we want to have displayed on each of them is going to be our full name, the consultant's ID, and maybe the maintenance title, and maybe we add the phone number in here. Let's go phone, because we want to easily contact them, right? The pictures. I didn't get into the pictures in the data map because I wanted to show you here how we do it in organizational charts. The concept is the same as it is for organizational charts as it is for data maps. So basically what we're doing is we're telling Big Picture, I want to add a picture for each employee. I would like you to find Big Picture. I'd like you to find the folder that's titled Palisade Big Picture Examples, Photos, People, MLM. So if I go here, I go People, MLM, then I say I would like you to match the pictures based on the full name. So this is the full name. I would like you to match Amanda Nelson's picture here with Amanda Nelson here. So that's how we tell Big Picture to put in pictures at the different levels. Now, for markers, I'm going to leave out markers for the first time around, and then I'll come back and show you markers. For calculations, I'm going to add a performance roll-up calculation for the supervisors, and it's going to have the head count and central points. So we're going to be able to tell how many people are below that particular person, and also the total number of points. And we're going to add those as a topic note. Now I could change this to be topic label, and it'll have that head count number in there so we can look at quick glance without expanding out the different branches. Now filter, what we did for filter is we're just going to remove all these PCs because they're not part of the business model themselves. We have them strictly as just, so we're just going to have the ranked positions. So these are not ranked positions. So we excluded them out of this query. And you can do so by selecting this pre-filter, saying I want you to look in the maintenance title, and I want you to include employees that have platinum, bronze, silver, or gold. So we're able to do a little filtering. For display, we're going to say color levels. So we're going to have it color the different levels. And then we're also going to have the workbook with the data. We're going to have it display in a workbook with the data itself. You could actually do a new workbook if you wanted to. And we're going to have that chart orientation. So I'm going to go ahead and create the chart, and then we'll come back and take a look at that markers tab. So here we have Amanda Nelson, and then we have Julie Weisberg underneath. And underneath Julie Weisberg, we have Mary Hemingway. So we can see everybody here all the way through, okay, which is great. Then if we want a little more detail about them, we can actually mouse over and click on the calculations tab, and we can see, oh, this one doesn't have anyone below her. Obviously we could, doesn't have any points below her, I should say. But this one, the central points are 361, so that's what she had for herself, but the total is 1607. So if I expand this out, I'll be able to see that if I add up these points together, we'll end up with these points here. So if you take that 1081 plus the 526, we're going to get that 1607. So this gives us a way of being able to get some calculation, get some information, but hide it and not have it all in our face. Like, I'm not crazy about the way the phone numbers appear there, so maybe we change that. So we can go back to the org chart display, say we don't necessarily want that there, but we would like to have a note marker that has the phone number information in it and maybe the email address. So I can go ahead here and say that I would like the email, and I would like that as a hyperlink, and I would like the phone number. I would like that as a note, and another tag that we're going to put on it is their status. So at the beginning of each month, maybe you give them a call and you see where they're at. And you'll see in this column E where it says status, I have plus, no entry, on hold. They're kind of weird phrases, and they're intentionally weird phrases. I'll show you why, but I'll also explain that in Excel you can change that. But I wanted to show you how to do it easily. So we're going to go ahead and do status, and I know the fact that it came from the emphasis list, so I will show you that. But I'm going to go ahead and create the chart, overwrite the first one. And you can see now we have all these other options here, right? Now we can see the head counts. Head count is 5, 8, 4, 2, 1. You see this X, that's part of my status. That one is basically, not happening, not working out right now. This one is on hold, kind of working a little bit. This one is doing great, doing well. Let's see what her numbers are. If we look, we can see her numbers. Total central points are at 2,939. How about this one? Where do we stand with her? She's at 5,432. And this one, if I click on here, the points are at 3,546. So we can actually go through and say, actually, Carol Wright, she deserves a plus instead of just a check. So then you can go back in here to your data and change Carol Wright's here and add it to be a plus. And then when you rerun that organizational chart, it will change that. Why did I name these plus, check, on hold, no entry? The reason why I did that is because the marker names, if I go here to markers and say manage markers, these are markers that are already built into Excel, so into BigPicture. So there's these different lists of different markers that you can relate to, and you can call out. So what I did was I just went to this emphasis tab, and I liked the way the check one looked, I liked the way the on hold one looked, and I liked the way the no entry one looked. So I chose those as names. Now you could easily do a column that says, if plus, then type in and use a different name for it if you wanted to, or if, I should say vice versa. If it says great, then you do a plus. If it says okay, then you do a check mark. If you could say, slow, you do the on hold. So you could do an if then else with that. So that pretty much wraps up the different ways that you could utilize BigPicture. The last one is going to be simply showing you slideshows. I'm going to do this really quickly because I want to be mindful of your time. But a slideshow, we'll do this one. So this is a pretty in-depth one that you wouldn't necessarily use, but essentially, actually let me find one that has the explanation. Hang on. We're going to do break-even analysis because I know that one has the annotations. So if I go here, this is essentially, actually, it is a marketing example of how many items to mail out based on previous responses. So I can actually click this play button because you can see now all of a sudden there's this play button in the ribbon. If I click this play button, it's going to give me this annotation dialog, and it's going to walk me through, kind of like a slideshow, that walks through. So this could be training again for new team members, what to do when they start up. You know, you have to write down your why. You have to read Eric Worre's Go Pro. You have to watch certain videos, and you could actually map it out for them, but have them go through one step at a time and tell them why they're doing that. So this says based on the number mailed and the response rate, the company will observe the number of responses, i.e. the number of customers who purchase something, and it goes on and it just walks through the map. Instead of just giving somebody a map that looks like this, they can give someone some guidance by walking them through and giving them the opportunity to go ahead a slide or back a slide, what have you. Now, if I don't like the way that can looks, I can change that slideshow description template. So if I want to go here and say I want to change that format to be like that, we're all set. So we can go to Big Picture, say don't show it. Now all of a sudden when I click through, you're going to see a different look and feel. So you can change the look and feel there. Now how do I create a slideshow? Well, I create my map first, and then I click on the slideshow dialog. And it's pretty self-explanatory in the sense that for slide number 3, I can go ahead and say I want all prior slides, and then I can select new slides to add onto it here, and it will automatically add those on there. So you saw me just add profit there. So now when I go ahead and click play here, on the 3rd slide, profit is going to show up. So there's profit. So that was the quick and dirty slideshow example one. But if you have any questions whatsoever, I highly encourage you to go ahead and reach out to me. And let me call up my, let's see, call up my actually website address and information here for you. There we go. So this right here is my information. My name is Michelle Jackson. I'm the Big Picture Product Manager here at Palisade Corporation in conjunction with a gentleman by the name of Robin Holloway. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me at mjackson@palisade.com, and I will either work directly with you or another team member of mine named Robin Holloway may reach out to you. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join me. I hope that you got a couple of tidbits worth of information or just ideas of how you could apply this type of software to your monthly goals or your monthly achievements, whether you're an entrepreneur or in multi-level marketing or the combination of the two, right? So thank you so much and have a splendid day. If you have any questions, feel free to enter them. I will leave the field open for a little bit, and I can type back to you or email you afterwards. So thank you so much and have a great afternoon. Bye now.